Hey, it says I'm live, so good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. And, you know, I'm always blessed to be here. Oh, but I will tell y'all, this program, Facebook's program, won't let you go live without choosing a topic. And so this morning, as just a second ago, as I was choosing a topic. Good morning, Linda. How are you, dear? This morning, as I was choosing a topic, it came to me. It just popped into my mind. No victim, no crime. And as I typed it in, I was like, okay, I can. Oh, but even as I said that, it's like all of this stuff comes rushing up to my mind. This game that we play of blaming somebody. We need to blame somebody. And if I put down no victim, oh my gosh, then what happens to that? If I refuse to see myself as somebody's victim, damn, that's hard, right? Because you want to blame, we want to blame folks for stuff that they did and we want to make them pay. I mean, just whatever that means, even if it's in our spirit, we want to make them pay. And I don't know about you, but damn, that's hard. That is like, woo, woo. You know what? And the funny thing is that when things happen, usually you see them before it even happens. You know it's about to happen. I can sit there and say, I know this fool is lying to me. Or I know that they're not going to do A, B, C, right? Because we just came past whatever it is. If it was Valentine's Day, if it was New Year's, Christmas, your birthday, payday, whatever it is, you already knew they were lying when they opened their mouth, right? And so to say no victim, it's just, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be about that. It could be ooh, oh y'all, let me say this. Let me say this, Linda, you there? I mean, I'm gonna tell you, this morning. So for the last, I was counting the days at one point, and I was talking about it was 10 days. Then it's been at least, let's say, at least 3 weeks. I was doing this one meditation that was all about like setting intentions, and it was a good meditation. It's a Joe Dispenza meditation. It's really good. And finally I had to, um I let up off of doing that particular meditation because it was it just, an hour every day was just driving me crazy. And then I was hearing the same thing over and over again. It was just driving me crazy. And I'm used to silent meditations. And so for the last 2 days, I have been doing a 30-minute silent meditation and guiding myself through it, doing the breathing exercises just like I would have done with the Joe Dispenza thing, not quite as prolonged. And then going into the thing and then reminding myself to let go of the idea of a body. So I was going through all of that. This morning when I did it, I was going through this period of, I don't know if I was like saying, letting go of the idea that I had a body, but I was just in that. And there is this moment of release, and a woman showed up, walked right into my what do you call it, into um uh, so if you could imagine just having um no thing, like a non-awareness. In the Matrix, there's this scene where Morpheus and Neo go in and they drop into this just white, um uh, I don't want to call it the mainframe, but they drop into this white thing, this white experience that is just void of anything other than bright whiteness. It's almost like you've got to load the programming onto it. Well, it's not called the mainframe. It's called something else. Anyway, so I'm like in this state of nothingness, and this woman walks in, and when she walks in with, kind of tattered, kind of like with a raggedy look about her. And immediately I thought to myself, by the way that she looked and that she presented herself, she was dark, dark complected, and, kind of, what do I want to say about her? Yeah, so I knew from her look that she had to be someone that was enslaved. And she walks in and she calls me baby, right? Just, kind of begins to have this conversation with me. And she told me I was on the right track. She said that, how do I want to put it? She said that the way that I was approaching making connection, I was on the right track. She said forgiveness is the way that I see, clearly to my ancestral line. And she showed me some things that had happened to her, that it happened in context of where they were at a given time, as if to say that it was very common for white men to rape black women. It was very common for them to treat people in a certain way. And so she showed me this, I saw this happen to her up under a tree. And she said to me, be very clear. She says, babies are born innocent. And she kept saying to me, babies are born innocent. And I thought, oh, yeah, they didn't have anything to do with the act or the action. That's not to say that to treat another human being is wrong in that context, in that way. But she said, babies are born innocent. And I kept thinking to myself, like, well, I wanted to say, something like, but this and but that. And she kept saying, babies are born innocent. And so that was like what prompted me, I guess, maybe to say no victim here, because no matter what, you and I are here today because somebody else endured, whether it was the atrocities or whether we want to make it seem like all of our ancestors were happily married or whatever. But all of us are here today at this point in time of what has happened to those that have come before me. And so here I am looking at this woman who, I can't say from the vision that I saw whether or not she was the first in the line of enslaved people here. But what I do know is that I saw her, and she was like I said, she's very dark, and but very, such a loving presence. I even asked her name and she told me what her name was. And I felt this just, and she just kept saying, babies are born innocent. No matter what happened, babies are born innocent. And then, of course, what we know is so at this, that babies are born innocent. They come in, they don't have any intention. They don't come out of the womb with a tomahawk in their hand thinking that they gonna get you. It's not a Chucky video of them thinking that I'm gonna, continue to it's none of that. It's that they are born innocent. And then she said that, or did she say this, or is it what I wrote down afterwards? They're born innocent, but they are not necessarily clean in the sense that this idea, the biblical quote is something like the sins of the father are visited upon the son, but they get to work out. We get to work out the issues of our parents, because those, even though they, we're not conscious of them, they do visit us for our resolution. So if she is telling me that forgiveness is the key, I can't accept parts of me. I can't accept this grandmother, great grandmother, if I'm not also accepting that great grandfather who may have been under that tree and was the one that did that, was the one that hurt her. As a matter of fact, y'all, and since I'm telling y'all my part of my meditation anyway, part of this visitation anyway, as she was talking to me and as she was, leaving, I asked her, I said, is this pain that I'm feeling right here in my neck, is this from you? I was like, is it the pain in my neck? Is that a pain from your neck? And she kind of showed me what happened to her. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But can you take that pain with you when you leave? Like, can you, because I don't want to carry around that pain is what I was saying. But she did say that when you feel it, you'll know I'm present. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, what a wonderful way of showing up in a meditation. And so as I did that meditation, I was like, I finished it by, going through and setting my intentions and closing up, but so darn grateful for that. So when we explore this idea that, whatever the circumstances that may have been, if we're not accepting all of these parts, they used to, well, they still do. They called children bastards at one time that, were created and then the father just went off and left. A bastard of a baby, right? That's what we used to call them. But babies are born innocent. Babies are born innocent. Babies are born innocent. And if you've ever held one, you know it. They don't, none of that stuff. So this idea of a bastardized. So if none of us, if you, if I, if none of us were bastards, right? Because we're born innocent. We're born innocent. So if none of us are bastard, we can't then turn around and bastardize those who gave birth to us. Does that, because there's a part of us that knows that if you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here. And so, so we've got to figure out a way of within ourselves just seeing that, people are just playing out parts. We're playing out parts and roles. And so, if that's the case, if they were born innocent, if it was ever true that we were innocent, then it's true now. But we're acting out the parts that need to come up for healing, that need to come up for us to heal. And so then, we have these places in us that gets angry. We've got the stuff in us so that we could look again upon the choices that we are making and choose different so we can heal. Oh, y'all, it was so amazingly good for me this morning. And so, while I appreciate the Joe Dispenza meditations, I appreciate all of the work and stuff that I'm doing. My great, 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 great grandmother walking into my meditation this morning was just, woo, woo. So I love that, because sometimes, the meditation I was doing is like the music and all of this stuff, the direction from it is so overwhelming. It doesn't leave or create a space for me to have experience like that. And the funny thing is that like I can sit down in a meditation for an hour, but today I did like the 30 minutes. Yesterday I did the 30 minutes. But really, when you think about it, for me, I could sit there and I sit down for 30 minutes and the juice of all of that happens is maybe about 5 minutes. Maybe about 5 minutes. But sometimes you get up feeling as if, I was only down there for a second. Now, when I'm doing the other meditation, I'm sitting there and I know I've been there an hour. I have, I used to, especially when I first went to that Vipassana meditation retreat. An hour wasn't anything when you've meditated 10 hours a day for 10 days. An hour ain't nothing. It's like, whew, blow it off like that. But when it is a struggle, when you feel like you're putting yourself there and you got to hold yourself down so that you stay in place, that is, that in part is a struggle. I remember hearing a minister one time who talked about her meditation practice, and she didn't even call it meditation. I don't know if this was Johnny Coleman or who, but it was an older woman. And she talked about it. She said that what she did was she didn't sit down and meditate. She said she piddled. And she said, I call it piddling. That's what she said. Piddling. And she says, you know how piddling is she says you kind of walk around and there's a part of you that is this conscious, but then a part of you that's not. I used to always tell people that I grew up meditating. But my meditation was what happened to me when I started washing dishes or when I had to do housework. My mind could slip into another place, another realm. And so while I'm doing meaningless tasks, my mind just kind of goes. It kind of finds a different something to be on or in. It just gone. And so a lot of times now I actually sit down because I'm being very intentional about it. But just being and opening yourself, because sometimes we want to fill all the gaps with stuff. I have been listening to this trauma summit. And yesterday I just got to a place where like, okay, I just need a break because it's, just trying to keep up with the material. It's like all day and it sucks the juicy moments out of your day when you're always like in an activity, actively listening to something or actively having your mind engaged in something. That's one of the things that work. That they talk about this. The idle hands is the devil's playground. Well, it's not that it's the devil's playground. It's that it's not your agenda. It's not your agenda. And so when we are off on something that is not somebody else's agenda, because people want to control your thoughts. People want to control what you're exposed to. And they want to give you the news and tell you that there's this scary world out there, lions and tigers and bears. They want you to be very afraid, because that fuels a whole industry when they can get you in your fearfulness. They want to monitor your time, at whether it's at work or what you're learning, or they want to tell you that this is what you've got to learn and you've got to learn it in a particular way. They don't want you talking to your ancestors. They don't want you to know that this is all about love. They don't want you to know that God is already loving you, right? If I was that kind of minister, I would want people to think, if I was that kind of minister, right? If I was the kind of minister that wants you to, loose your money, give me your money kind of thing. If I was the kind of minister that wanted to make you committed to, my particular agenda, I would tell you about all the evil stuff, all the evil people, and make it seem like you needed to only trust this right here. Come over here, because this is where you'll be safe. And all of those other people out there are, like something is wrong with them, or they're evil, or they're out to get you. Don't listen to people who say certain things. That's the kind of stuff that keeps you locked in and trapped. But if what I want you to do is to turn inward, because that's what Jesus was telling us the whole time, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you, right? It's within you. And so instead of me making it sound like there's this people and those people and that, over there, if I am opening you up and saying that, when you run into this type of person, oh my gosh, it seems like it's a trap, because there's something that you need to learn there. Ooh, talk to yourself, Sandra, right? You already knew. You already know when they come up that this is a, can I say to you that the people who piss you off the most are your greatest teachers? And you sit there thinking like, why did I fall for that crap again? I knew that they was lying, or I knew that they were trying to take my, whatever it is. I knew this. Why again do I find myself here feeling some kind of angst, some kind of way? And sometimes it's in part because that's the lesson that we need to learn. Sometimes we need to know that, what we were thinking was evil, because Jesus also said, resist not evil, right? So sometimes what we're thinking is evil is not actually evil, but it's coming to give us a lesson, to show us something that we needed to learn or that we needed to know. So say, for instance, if I got this friend, and he is always, he is a liar. I could say it right here. I'm not saying his name, but he's a liar. Now, I will tell you that like I always say to y'all, that when a person tells a lie, it's not about me. Because what can I accept, right? If I'm saying that I'm love, if I'm saying I'm loving, what can't I accept? So I already know he's a liar. So when he tells me a lie, why do I get upset, right? And so what I recognize is there is a part of him, and this was that in that training I was telling y'all about the other day. There's a part of him that has been conditioned to lie. That's what he does. It's not about me. So in that training I was telling y'all about the other day, the guy was asking his client, you know, who lied to you when you were a kid? And so the guy was like, yeah, it wasn't that he was lying to me. He was like, my father wanted to control everything I did. And he was in resistance to his father controlling everything he did. So he made a habit of lying. And so he grew up lying, telling lies about stuff. And so his wife they were in therapy, and his wife would say, if you say that the sky is blue, he wants to contradict that and start telling you about how the sky is reflecting off of this and it's a refractory thing, that instead of just being in agreement with you. She was like, everything is a point of contention for him. And so when he found out that it was a result of what was going on with him and his father, he was able to choose differently. So I got this friend who is, he just lies. And so one day we were having a conversation, and I started talking to him about this. He got this beautiful picture of his family life, and his mother was so angelic and so great, and his dad was so loving. And then one day it comes out, but this dad that was so loving wasn't his biological father. And I said, oh, right? Did your mama have a tree experience, right? I don't know. But he says no. He was like, he just never met him. He says, I know his name. I know I look like him. He lives over such and such, but he's never bothered to engage with me. And so I never bothered to engage with him. And I thought, you had one of those aha moments. You know what I mean? And so now the lies are not about that anymore, right? The lies are no longer about this idea that, anything else that I might have thought it was. Now I get it. You come from a father who sees but doesn't see. A man who hasn't accepted you. And so now, because there is a part, if your own father doesn't accept you, then there's got to be a part of you that says, in my truth, I'm unacceptable. In my truth, whoo, y'all, somebody ought to be shouting. If we can say it like that, somebody ought to be shouting. Because sometimes what we don't realize is that the things that we do, the stuff in our minds that we make up, is a result of something else. And because as humans, the psyche is so amazing that it responds in particular ways. Now, this may not be a clinical kind of definition of what goes on, but sometimes when you sit in spaces and you just breathe into those spaces, you could start to understand like, I get it. So it's not about me. The ways that he shows up is not about me, but is totally about him. So then there's the part, then I turn around and I ask myself, okay, if I know this, then I already know that he has no choice but to lie to me until he works out. But it is something that is, you can heal. Don't get me wrong. I know that people, once somebody walks in a room and they turn on the light, remember how I was saying that now that the light is on, you can't unsee what you saw. So now all of a sudden, the moment you get a different idea or a different image about what's going on in the room, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. So, y'all, I gotta take a second detour here. Y'all know how I've been talking about this the little dog that I have that is, y'all remember I only had this dog for about 6 months or so, 5 pounds. And then my other dog, the one that I've had for a few years, is in heat. And, he's been chasing her around. And I was like, oh, he don't even know what he's supposed to be doing with it. He just can't help but lick her and sniff her and just being annoying, right? I was like, oh, he don't know what he's doing. Can't reach it. Ain't nothing happening, right? Was it last night, though? He gets this, like, he knows that it's something, there's a magnetism that's in there, and he just keeps on chasing her. So and she gets annoyed, so I've been putting the little diaper on for her so that he would stay out of her stuff anyway, because he's just constantly just hurting himself trying to get to her, trying to lick her, trying to do whatever. But she like up here and he's like down here. I know y'all are sitting up there saying, yeah, but anyway, so I was just, I was all dead set in my mind, like he don't know what he's doing. And yesterday I'm sitting there, I go in the bathroom like usual, and they follow me everywhere. They like my little shadow. They come right into the bathroom. And this little dog, who I'm saying don't know what he's doing, she kind of circles around to lick herself. And he gets on her shoulder and starts humping. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, is this like biological? Like you don't need an instruction book? You don't have to. But I was like, but it's at the wrong end. And so now I'm being more mindful because the stuff is starting to kick in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this little dog will probably be diving off of something trying to land on. I don't know. Anyway, but there is these parts of each and every one of us that we're playing out a role that we didn't necessarily establish. Born innocent, absolutely. But now we fall into the roles so we could see. Without this, say for instance, we have relationships. And in the context of the relationship, there are things that come out. Our true nature begins to come out. Sometimes it doesn't come out when we're first in there, right? Sometimes we are so busy in what they call the honeymoon stage. We putting on an act and on a show. We acting this way and acting that way. You know how. And I laugh because I love to watch. I love to. Have you? I don't know if y'all got friends, right? You got friends. And you see a friend and how they act normally, and then you see somebody that they're attracted to that walks into the room. And sometimes they don't even know or recognize that they are attracted to them. But then all of a sudden the starts happening. And you looking at them like, what the hell? Like... We know that now that there has been a change. Like you can see it because now all of a sudden, I used to not be so aware. I got a girlfriend who is, she is so good at reading people and reading a room, and can look at a room and tell who's with who, even if they are not in vicinity of each other. And I used to think, like, what is that kind of superpower is that you can look in a room and people that, one person may be over at the bar and she'll tell you, oh, like, and this is just a for instance, oh, that's her pimp over there. Like, how do you know that? How do you know that? And she was like, scan the room, look at the room. Okay, so is there like some kind of, I used to think, okay, she must be able to see a string that goes from here over to there and a string that goes, I didn't understand it, but she could see that. I wasn't always that good at that. But then one day I was at this job, I was working this job, and I walked in a room, and there was my supervisor was talking to another man, but I had not walked into his field of vision yet. And so I kind of observing, because I was thinking to myself, who is that? Like, who is that? Being nosy and trying to listen in on the conversation and everything. And I'm listening to how they're talking. And then finally, I walked from over at the side of the room where I had been observing, and I walked over into his field of vision. And I watched how he morphed right before my eyes, y'all. And I'm still trying to act like I'm not paying attention, right? But this man morphed into something else while I stood there. I mean, he went from just kind of chilling in the chair to now all of a sudden my back is straightened. His chest blossomed. I saw his face straighten up. It was as if I've seen that. And at first I was, we kind of give it a different kind of thing when it happens, or we don't always see the before and after somebody, that connection is made. But when it starts to happen, if you are now aware of it, then you can still begin to see what that's all about. So when people are just being people, like animals are being animals. Dogs do what dogs do. It's not like it's not like I don't know. Some people may go out of the house and say, oh, I'm gonna meet somebody today, or set up an intention. I don't know, but there is a natural responsiveness that happens. Because even as my great grandmother entered into my thing and started, sharing with me, even in that instance, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, she's showing me her vision of what happened. What started, I don't want to say what started my family line, because she was there, it started prior to her, but it could have been the lightning of my family line, because what she showed me too was that this was on my father's side. My mother's side was still darker complected, right? This was on my father's side, and she was very dark. So she showed me what had happened to her up under that tree. And who's to say when this man came riding along on his horse, if he had the moment before that had an intention that I'm going to go find some today. Or if this was now all of a sudden, this happens. Right? Who's to say how all of that stuff happens? But it happens. It happens nonetheless. And so, so we meet folks at the right time to work through the issues that we have. And some people, it may just be momentary, right? It may just be a momentary thing. So this guy circling back to come back and, and lie to me or tell me some story. Fine. I can, fine. I don't even have to be, so here's the thing. If we look for the lesson, right? If we look for the lesson in the thing, can it be so bad if you learn something in an instance? If I come and I've had this experience of my grandmother today, if it's teaching me about forgiveness today, if it's telling me no victim, no crime, if it's telling me that babies are born innocent, and I get this challenge here, can what happened be so bad because it comes with all of this wonderful lesson with it? Can it be so bad? I don't know. Some people, if you want to get stuck in your victimhood, if you want to sit, oh, what so-and-so did to me. If you want to get stuck in your victimhood, that's cool. But how long do you stay there? Are you a victim forever? Is it that we can look at things and say like, was I supposed to learn something here? Let's just say, for instance, I'll take another for instance, not even somebody lying to you. Was somebody steal something from you? Was that last year that the guy stole that stuff from me? And I was like, I was praying about it because I was like, this dude, I trusted that, he was here to help me and all of this stuff, and he stole all that stuff. And so when I called him on it, he's like, so I was just sitting up there thinking to myself like, man, what is this? And so, of course, my lessons come to me. And now I needed to work through that. I needed to work through it. So if I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself that I have been violated, then I stay his victim. But what I needed to see is that just like the time I told y'all about somebody stealing the pizza out of my car, or this guy stealing tools from me. If I'm stuck in that vein, if I'm tripping about it, then I'm tying myself to him by claiming I'm his victim and he stole from me. But now what I need to do is see that, this stuff, whatever it is meaningless in the context of things. Whether the stuff is here or not. If I am valuing junk, the stuff, the tools that he took over the life force that he is, over all of that stuff, then I'll be still sitting there looking at what's missing and not seeing what's present. I needed to work on, let me not make a priority stuff. Let me not make or prioritize stuff. In a capitalist society, we have been taught about stuff. We make it seem like the stuff is of value, but without realizing that it's not the stuff that's of value, but the relationship or people. And so how do we move beyond that and stay beyond it? Because even my verbiage, as I'm saying this to y'all, I realize that I'm saying it to you wrong. Because if, the Course in Miracles tells me to have all, give all to all. Don't hold anything as if it's sacred or special, but rather hold, if you got stuff, cool, but hold it loosely. Hold it loosely. Don't sit there like with this whole idea that I gotta, this is me, this is mine. Don't hold it like that. right? It even Jesus was saying, if somebody asks you for something, if somebody asks you to carry a load of mouth, carry it too. If you want to get technical about it, I mean, if he slaps you on cheek, turn to him the other one. Don't sit there and hold on to anything. Let it go. So we've learned this stuff, but we haven't put it in practice in our life. Because and so we miss the blessing of it. So even as I use the verbiage talking about what somebody took, is like, until I'm ready to say, you know what? What you need, right? What you need. Then I haven't gotten a lesson. Cause it's not about that stuff. And that's so hard. That's so hard because we have been taught contrary. So, this becomes the work to do. It's the work all the time. It's the work all the time. How do I see my brother's innocence in everything? Not just in some spaces, but how do I continue to call forth his innocence? How do I continue to love without seeing all of the other stuff, right? Because other stuff will come up. Babies are born innocent. If you were born innocent, if you were ever innocent, that's one of my favorite things to say too, is that if it was ever possible when Jesus was here, if it was possible when Nzinga was here, if it was possible ever, it should be possible now. So if it was ever possible that we were all innocent, then it's possible that we are all innocent right now. So even as I tell you about this idea that somebody stole from me, or somebody lied to me, or somebody violated this, or somebody violated that, that is to focus in on what I find objectionable. Is to put myself in this this thing as Linda, did you say that? Oh my gosh. Yes, girlfriend. Good morning to you. She initially addressed you as baby and then said all babies are born innocent, free from evil influence or effect. Knowing nothing of evil, understand that you can sense her experience and knowledge and know that she will be with you and guide you. Girl, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Yes. She did say that. She did. And that was such a beautiful lesson for me. And thank you for bringing that into clarity, how she addressed me as baby too, because she did. That's so sweet. That is so, so yes, if this was ever possible, then it's always possible for all of us. We don't get to go around and, as we go through life, we're picking up experiences and picking up things and all of this stuff. And just because we've got these things and we may stick them down in our bag, but it doesn't mean that they become who we are. Right? You don't, it's the stuff we collect and it's not even the truth about us, but yet and still we hold it. And so, yes, let all of that stuff just wash away. Yeah. That's so good. Y'all, I just think that this, these beautiful, and good morning. Did I say good morning to you? I get so excited about this because it's so, I don't know if, Here's I don't know who I heard say this. I don't know who I heard say this, but I can tell y'all about this in another vernacular too. I'm gonna try to keep it above board. but sometimes we forget to court things, to court what we want, right? You know what I mean by courting. There's a flirtation that happens when you're courting, right? When I talked about the guy morphing into something, or, when we talk about the natural attraction of things, it could be that from, that culture, we've learned how people just say might makes right, which it does not. But people will take it on might makes right. So if I got the gun, I got control. Or if I got, if I can take you, if I can take what I want, then I got control. And that's not the way to experience things. Dr. Brown talked about that the other day, that we are, that the babies came and the baby as in culture, he said they came and learned something from us, but they didn't learn it in full. And so what they think is this idea of might makes right, which it does not. So there for me is this thing of courting. I court spirit. I want to sit in meditation. I want to do the work so that I'm creating the environment or the space to say, come to me, to my ancestors. And so I've been working at forgiving and releasing so that I'm not standing in judgment about, the rapes that happened or the incest that happened or all the things that at the time seemed okay. Right. But we got judgments on it now. And part of the judgment, if I'm judging it, it won't come to me. So I'm in my spirit, I'm courting it, saying, come to me, grandma, right? Come to me, grandmothers, all of y'all, grandfathers, come to me. I'm courting them because I want a relationship. I want to know. And so I've heard people who talk about they even court themselves. Like they gonna create the mood. They gonna set the stage for things so that they can have the experience that they want. You guys, sometimes we forget that we've got to be open and receptive. If it's about relationship, how do I create the context for the relationship? I'm gonna tell you, my grandmothers taught me that the way that you create the relationship to some extent is by creating the space for it. So we see now all these people. I can't not say something about this. We see all these people who want these big, beautiful houses, but don't want nobody to come over. Don't want nobody to ask for no food. They want to create a hostile environment so that people stay away. But your grandmothers used to make, they always got a pot of something going on, right? They always cooking, saying, come on, baby, come on, right? That was the energy that they put out there. Come on, wherever I am, sit down, take a load off your feet. Have something to eat. They knew about this thing of relationship. If it's around a hearth, or if it's around a pot of victuals or whatever, it's creating the space for that. Y'all, I'm talking as much to myself as I'm talking to you. So when we create this stuff, it's not just for me, but it's to have that, come on, y'all, right? So not just to my ancestors, not just to whatever. It's like, let me be in that. And if you're judging people, if you're caught up in the judgment, if you're caught up in what all of this other stuff, if you're caught up in that, then what you're doing is you're pushing people away. You're creating bricks. You're putting walls up instead of having that, come on, whosoever will. Don't you love that about, and they say that the people who are the most difficult to love are the ones that need the love the most. So I sit there and I'm talking about my friend and I'm saying that, he lied to me. I found out that rejection is already deep in him. So if I reject him because he's lied to me, then all I'm doing is I'm reaffirming what he already knows or what he already thinks in his mind. And so he doesn't, there is not anything that he has to do because I'm reaffirming the rejection that he feels from his father, who he knows is still walking around just fine with other kids, but hasn't accepted him. And the funny thing about it is, when I asked him, I said, well, does he know about you? He says, well, my grandmother, his grandma, he said, I used to go over her house when I was a kid. So his mother accepts me. His mother reached out for me. His mother used to give me candy. But y'all hearing me? Y'all hearing me? So that rejection that he feels is not about me. It's not about me. So he can't help but act on that until he heals it. And you know me, I told him, I said, you need to go knock on his door. What? Be the man that you want him to be, right? Be the man that you want him to be, because now you a man. You can be the man that you want him to be. Ooh, but he can't get there, y'all. So he'll continue to act this out until he doesn't. So listen, it's almost time for me to get off, and I still haven't read my daily guide. So I'm going to read this daily guide. You can choose whether or not you check out or whatever, but I need to read this daily guide because this is part of what I do every day. Raymond Anderson. And if y'all got something, if y'all got a comment to make, come on with it while I read this. Cause I'm talking to me. When I do these things, this is as much about me as it is about anybody else. I need to hear myself say these things so that I can realign my thinking. Right? I can make the healing. I could say, oh, dude, you can't steal from me, because all that I have is yours. Oh, that just is so freaking big. It's so freaking big. So here's the thing. Here's I'm gonna read this, and so here it goes. This is called Size Matters. I see, Linda, that you put something in, and I'm gonna read it as soon as I get through with this. I'm just sticking a bookmark in that. I'm gonna read this, and then I'll read yours. Size matters not. That's what it says. Size matters not. That's the title of it. And so then the first quote, here's the first quote. Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? And well, you should not, for my ally is the force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings we are. You know that had to be the Yoda, right? That's the Yoda. Ooh, that's so good. And then the next quote comes from Ernest Holmes in The Spiritual Universe and You. And it says, when we say there is but one mind and that we use it, we are stating another self-evident proposition. All problems, regardless of their nature or size, resolve themselves into one basic problem. We have not accepted our full spiritual inheritance. So good, y'all. So far, this goes right along with what I've been talking about. I love it when this happens. So here's what he wrote for today. This is Reverend Raymond Anderson. How many people did it take to change the cultural consciousness regarding women's right to vote, desegregation, and the voting rights of Black people, and the basic human rights of LGBTQ plus people? While many still cling to the old paradigm of separation or othering and supremacy rooted in the construct of racial, gender, sexual orientation, the tides are turning. The number of people who are committed to equity, justice, sustainable living, and radical inclusion is growing. The size of Goliath matters not. Whatever form Goliath takes does not matter. There are more and more people like Daryl Davis out in the world doing the work. There are more individuals like Ayanna Fields Stewart, Bishop William Barber, Sarah McBride, Jane Elliott, Akoved Mean, and many others who are doing the work today. We need not be curious about what Jesus would do, but rather we can ask, what am I doing? What Goliath am I called to stand up to? And by the power of divine awareness, caused to come tumbling down. The size of the darkness does not matter. What matters is that you enter the darkness with your light and watch the darkness fade. Aren't you curious to see that happen? Ooh, that's so good. And I went so right along with what I was just talking about. The affirmation that he puts with this is like David, I stand before Goliath. I shine so brightly that the walls, fear, dis-ease, and hate fall. Where we once stood, I sow love, hope, and healing. And so that is. Amen, amen on that. That was good. That was right in line with what I was just talking about. All right, so let me see. So here, Linda, thank you for this. So Linda says, heard someone say when a baby was sold to another plantation, it was not sold away from family because there was a community already waiting for it, ready to breastfeed, ready to lead and guide. We lost that sense of community as a whole. Have we? You know, it's really interesting though, because one of the things that when I think about this, I think, Linda, that there is a desire to help, right? I know, like for me, the woman who was next door to me who had this baby, I asked her, what can I do? How can I help? There is this younger people, especially, there's this rugged individualism that we have been taught. And it's not that people aren't willing to help. It's that we have learned how to not ask. Because we see it as a weakness to ask for help. And so, we put forth the offer. And I think many of us do. We put forth the offer, but whether it's received or not is a different thing. So we see people out there that I remember when I volunteered with the Hunger Center. I volunteered with the Hunger Center for a long time. And, we would give out turkeys. And a lot of times, whether we had turkeys left over or not enough turkeys, sometimes there would be people who would receive way more than their fair share. I have been, one of those people, especially when I was in college. My landlord used to give me a turkey, and then there was, I get a turkey from the school, and I had so many turkeys, I didn't have room for turkeys, and so I would always give away stuff. Now, there was a family that used to live on my street when I was in school, and they it's like not Humpty Dumpty, it's like old Mother Hubbard, right? She has so many kids. They had so many kids, and they had little kids. And if you ask them if they needed something, they would say no, right? They would be like no. The parents would anyway. They didn't even want their kids taking anything from me. It was white. I don't even know if it had anything to do with race or not, but they didn't want to take anything. But I remember how I started shifting the conversation. What I found out was, because I went and I knocked on their door one day, and I was like, you know what? I said, I can't take not one more turkey. Do y'all have any room for this? I was just like, can you please just take this off my hands? And so what I found out is when I act like they were doing me a favor, they would take stuff from me. But if I asked them if they wanted it, they would be like, no. I don't know what the something about that was, how it was in the nomenclature or whatever it was. But yeah, if I tried to give them something, they'd be like, no, we don't want it. Like I was giving them charity. But when I said, y'all, I don't have no more freezer space. My neighbor does this to me too. She's really funny. Now, I am an eclectic eater. I tell people all the time. Food is an adventure for me. It's an adventure. And sometimes I like stuff and sometimes I don't, but it's an adventure. So my neighbor who gets these things, I don't know, it's some kind of program that they have her in, but they give her food all the time, and she don't like nothing with gravy. She don't like nothing with this. She don't like nothing with that. So she sent me a thing yesterday. I wish I could show you the picture, but she was like, do you eat white cheese? That's what she... I don't eat white cheese. She says I eat American cheese. I'm thinking like, how could you have... How do you eat... I don't know. For me, it's like, okay, I'll take the darn cheese, right? She is always like that. If she don't know what it is, she ain't eating that stuff. It's so hilarious to me. So yesterday she sent me a picture saying, would you take this white cheese? I don't eat white cheese. Don't even know what the heck it is. But, so... I don't even know how all of that got in there, but what I do know is that we just, y'all, no victim. We are innocent. Oh my God, that's so amazing and sweet. So people, I think that we are all like, I want to say that y'all know me, I believe in people and I believe in the goodness of people. But maybe it's in the ways, like if I feel like you trying to give me charity, or if I feel like you're judging me, or if I feel, when we feel judged, we reject. It's just how we are. That kind of stuff comes up. So maybe we just got to figure out another way to love. Yeah. I used to And this is a side point before I let y'all go. My brother has three sons. Y'all know I love my family. I love my nephews. And he has three sons. So what I would do is I would make these big pots of stuff, whether it was a big pot of meatballs or a big pot of, when I was eating that way, I'd make these big pots of soup and stuff like that. And I'd be like, y'all, can y'all come get this? Cause I ate out of this, I'm going to eat 2 meals out of this. I'm going to eat 2 sandwiches out of this. And all the rest of this just needs to go. Can you please come get it? Right. And here they come. They be so happy. Like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that's the way my grandma was, right? That's the way my parents were. They always had way more than enough food, enough to share. My mother's house, you could not come in my mother's house and we didn't have something for you to eat. It wasn't like you had to go and open up cabinets and think that the cupboards was bare. There was always food to eat, right? Always. Whether it's, a pot of beans or some cornbread, we created the atmosphere and the environment for people, and it didn't matter who it was. The dude down the street, Muslim as he wanted to be, come down there eating and and only ask after he full, was there pork in that? Dude, come on, really? Yes. But we got to figure out how to make how to recreate that whole thing. So, maybe we've lost something, Linda, but I think that it's not lost forever. I think it still lives within us. It's just figuring out the way to do it. Hey, Sarika, hola. It's still up. It'll be up all day. You can watch it later, darling. How are you? All right, y'all. I gotta, I'm gonna run. It's almost 10. It's after 9:30. I've been on here for how long? An hour and 15 minutes. So I love y'all. I hope you have an amazing day. My dogs are starting to get restless, as maybe you can hear. So it is time for me to go. Yes, having a blessed and amazing day, and figure out how to be generous and see the innocence in everybody.